Hey everybody, we got the pruning done. It's taken us about a week and a half to get done. But we got all the trees pruned, and now it's time to get ready to get the garden disked up, rototilled, prepped for the black plastic mulch and the drip lines. So I've got to go over here to the tractor shed. I'm going to drop off the plows that were left on it, and I'm going to hook on the disc, grease it up, and get it ready for in the morning. So that's where we're going. All right, so I'm going to take you through our routine here, getting ready to use the tractor. Got to check the oil here. Make sure it's good. We're good. I don't ever start my tractor without checking the oil. See how much fuel we got. And we're good. Warm up the glow plug. Warm it up till the heating element glows. There we go. Hydraulics work. Never a good feeling to have something go out on you when your livelihood depends on it. Now we can hook up on the disc. Beautiful mountains. See if we can get this in one shot. I don't know. Nope. All right, guys. Now we've got the last implement of the day set up. We've got our plastic mulch layer. And what it does, it lays a drip line underneath the plastic, and then we plant our crops inside the plastic after we punch holes in it. So I'm going to back up. My wife is going to help me on the other end, where she's going to have to hold the end of the plastic until it gets started and covers it up with dirt. And then we'll just keep going. We're going to do the whole garden, or 3/4 of it today. We've only got about an hour till the sun goes down, so we're going to try and get this done today. Front end is too deep. I gotta level it out. We spent the whole day getting the ground ready to lay down all of this black plastic behind me. And there's still a little bit of work left to do to get it ready. Obviously, we're not going to plant yet for a couple of months, but we can get it ready for our spring vegetables like our beets, and where there's no black plastic, we'll be putting in radishes and carrots and things like that. But the onions are currently growing in the greenhouse right back there, and they will be ready to plant in one of these rows right here in a couple of weeks. Typically about the 1st of January is when we plant the onions, and so we need to get 2 rows ready for that, and I'll do another video on that when we get ready to plant. But before we get to that, there's another task I have to do today, where I've got a tree that last summer we had a really bad rainstorm, and it brought heavy winds with it, and it toppled one of my apple trees. It just snapped it off, and what was weird about it is it didn't uproot it, and it didn't break it up above the ground. It snapped it right off. I mean, the clean break right below the ground level. So I want to put another tree in its place, and I've been getting it ready. I had to use the tractor to pull out some of the old roots. I don't have a backhoe, so I've got to put a lot of labor into it trying to get it ready. But anyway, I got the hole dug. I got the tree that came. This is going to be a different tree than what was originally here. Originally, they were gala apples, and I have enough of them. I thought I'd try a different one. So what I have is not a Honey Crisp, but a Candy Crisp variety. I've never tried that, but they're supposed to be even better than the Honey Crisp. So I'll get in later to the different varieties that I have. I have about 7 rows of apples, and each row is a different kind. And intermittent in between all the peach rows and the cherry rows and so on. This one right here is a Bartlett pear, and it's the only pear tree that I have on this property. But anyway, what I'm going to do is soak the hole with water, put the tree in, and fill it in, and then we'll go take care of the plastic mulch buttoning things up on that. So let's get this tree planted. What I like to do is get where they grafted it to the rootstock. Some people plant it below the ground, and I like to plant it above the ground so that I don't get the rootstock growing where you have to prune it off again. And hey, you know what? Maybe that's why that tree snapped off the way it did. Maybe it snapped off right at the graft. It was a good, healthy, mature tree. But I'll tell you, those winds were really, really bad. There was a lot of heavy flooding in Zion National Park, just to the east of us. And we got some flooding here. The canyons, all that water runs down, and there's a wash there. And I was actually in the fruit stand when it hit. And holy cow, it was like, hold on, here it comes. They had to shut Zion down. Some of the stores got flooded out. I mean, terrible flood. Mud coming down with it. Tourists got stranded. They were digging them out for a week, towing cars for a whole week. You'd see cars one by one occasionally going down the highway on flatbed tow trucks, covered in mud. You knew it came from the flooding in Zion. Poor people here on vacation, and vacation ruin. But thankfully, you know, no one got killed in it. That would have been devastating, but you know, just property damage. But the town bounced back from it, thankfully. A lot of businesses affected, had to shut down. And of course, Springdale was shut down for a while until they can clear the roads. Luckily here in our town, in Rockville, we didn't have to shut our road because of flooding. It was shut down to tourism to keep the traffic from coming up into the canyon, because it's kind of a one-way dead-end highway unless you're going straight through the park to get to the other side on the east side of Zion. And of course, naturally, Zion was shut down, so no one can get through. All right, so try and scrape up as much of the dirt as I can. I'll get a rake. This is the first time I've had a tree shipped to me in a pot with the soil. Usually I order them and they come bare root and they come later, but I was surprised when I ordered it. They shipped it right away. And I was like, holy cow, I gotta get the hole dug. Wasn't planning on it coming till about March. Here we are in January. All right, let's see if we can try and patch this grass back in. Get it to the point where you never knew I dug a hole. And we'll keep you updated on how this tree's doing. All right. Well, we'll leave these and clean it up later. Gonna need the shovel. All right, so let's talk about what we have to do with this plastic mulch and the drip lines. So in our last video you saw we got this laid down with the tractor and a special implement that lays the plastic down. It digs a little furrow. It opens up the dirt and then spreads the plastic, and the wheels press it down in, and then there's a disc behind it that covers it back up and stretches it so it's nice and tight. And underneath it, it lays the drip line, and you can set it to how deep you want the drip line. I don't have it very deep, and it works out fine for what I do. But what we have to do is we need to bury the ends of this, because obviously you can see there's a breeze. If we don't, the wind could end up just tearing it right back out. What we need to do is dig a small trench and tuck the end of the plastic into it and cover it up. And that way it keeps the moisture in, keeps the weeds from getting in. And before we do that, we also have to pull the end of the drip tape out and crimp it off, and I'll show you how we do that. All right, so we need to figure out where the end's going to be and dig the trench. Clear this out again. Down, and what I like to do, poke a hole right here and pull the tape out, cover it back up. Eventually I'll level that off. All right, so let's see, I'm going to cut a little piece off, and you'll see what that's for. We're going to save that, and we cut it off about here, and I like to fold it twice, and then crimp it over enough that I can get this back over it. And now that water line is sealed off, and the water won't go spraying out of it. So we got to go all the way down and do all of these. All right, guys, we got the bottom done, and all the plastic is buried and covered up, and the drip tape is clamped off, so it won't leak at the end. Now we've got the same situation here at the top, where all the lines hook up to the distribution line. This is just a 2-inch lay flat hose. I've got it tied up out of the way so that when I was doing tractor work, I didn't hit it or cut it or anything. So that'll be brought back down onto the ground. I'm not going to film doing the same thing with the black plastic here, covering it up and pulling the tape out. But I'm going to do something different this year. The weeds at the top of the row are really a mess. it's hard ground because it doesn't get cultivated. The tractor can't reach right up against the fence line, and besides that, it's kind of a changing grade, and I don't want to level it off or I'll erode my fence line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something new this year. I've got some weed barrier that I ordered. I ordered a pallet of it over between the cabins there. I've got different lengths or widths, as well as extra black plastic for in the future. With this supply chain crunch, I felt it was best to get what I needed for a year in advance in case something bad happened, then I'm not stuck without being able to do my system of growing things. So what I'm going to do is lay down this weed barrier right here, staple it down with these spike staples, and then put the lay flat hose on top of that, and hopefully that will make a big difference in the weeds and prevent all that. So the reason why is those of you that don't live here in the western part of the United States, we've got these wonderful things called goat heads or puncture vine. These, holy cow, I tell you what, I could be a rich man if I went into the goat head farming business and sold these. But oh man, they're a menace. They grow with no water at all, and if you don't stay on top of them, man, they get stuck in your hands, or if you're digging in the dirt, stick in your shoes, you drag them into the house, and then next thing you know, you're walking barefoot somewhere and you step on them, and you'll know it the minute you do. But that's mainly the reason why, is to keep the goat heads, the puncture vine, under control without having to do a lot of hand weeding and hoeing and shoveling and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to get this all laid down. I'm not sure how much of it I'll even film, but we'll talk about it after. All right, guys, here we are a couple hours later, and I've got the weed barrier down and the lay flat water distribution hose on top of it. All the drip lines are hooked up, and all of the furrows in between each of the rows that the disc made behind laying the plastic, I've knocked those down with a square point shovel, and I'll show you that in a minute. And the reason for that is later, when you're rototilling, trying to keep the weeds down, your rototiller gets stuck in the furrow and it's hard to steer it in and out of it. So I like to go down with a square point shovel and knock the high part of the furrow down and fill in the low so that everything's nice and level. A lot of extra work. If there's an implement out there to use, you know, it'd be nice to use it, but then you end up packing down the soil with your tractor wheels. So I try not to do that after everything has been rototilled up. So here's what we got. Here's the distribution hose, and I've got a pressure regulator on it and everything. It's a low pressure system. You can't have too much or you blow the lines. So I like to keep it at around no more than 10 pounds PSI. But these valves work great because if you end up getting a hole in any of the lines for whatever reason, then you can shut this valve off without having to shut the whole system off, and then repair that line and then turn it back on. Or maybe you've got a different kind of crop and everything's not the same in here. Some things require more water than others, and so you can let certain things go a lot longer without having to water every day or every other day. And that's another thing. Some of you, you know, you might be in the southern states or the East Coast where you get plenty of rain. You don't even have to irrigate, and like this might be a foreign thing to you. You're like, what's the big deal? Why so much irrigation lines? Well, we live in the desert, and we can go
months sometimes without rain. Unfortunately, we've been in a bad drought. Last summer, we had those torrential rains that I talked about earlier, and those are it. You want to say it's a blessing to get something, but boy, sometimes you can get more than you need, and it really is devastating. But we'll take what we can get in any kind of rain. But in the meantime, we've got to supplement. So we can't farm without irrigation water in this arid climate that we live in here in southwestern Utah. So everything's done here, and it's been a long day. So I'm just about ready to quit for the day. I have a lot more tasks that need to be done, but I think I'm wore out for today. So I'm gonna put the tractor away and clean up some of the tools, and need to round up some help to help me pick up all these limbs that need to be gathered up and then brought over to a burn pile that we have every year. And this is just one orchard. There's another orchard over at my parents' place that I manage, and that one's bigger than this one, twice as big. And I still have to go prune that one and pick up the limbs. So there's never an off day for me here. So anyway, yeah, another day of hard work. Hey, thanks for watching our channel. What helps us out is if not just watching the videos that we put out, but please like it and subscribe to it. Since we're new at this, the more likes and subscribers we get, then we're able to do more, from what I understand. And so right now, I know that when you search our channel, it doesn't even show up unless someone sends you the link that we found out after our first video. So sharing this and getting the word out and helps us to be able to let other people see it. And kind of the purpose of that I would like for this channel is just showing you what we do every day, seeing the hard work we do as a family, but also maybe there's something we do that you can learn from. If you're in the same climate as us and you're wondering, whatever you're doing isn't working, and maybe we have some idea we've shared that helps you. That's how we've learned a lot. Of course, I learned from my grandparents, learned from my parents, from watching and doing and over the years of my life. But sometimes when there's something new that you're confronted with, or an idea you want to try, you're not sure how to go about it, and watching other people's channels that do this and the things they share, I've learned a lot from quite a few people, and it's helped us out a lot. So anyway, pass the word along. Thanks for watching.